Welcome to News Nexus. Today we are tackling one of the most important questions of our time. Is this the end of the US dollar's global dominance? For nearly 80 years, the American dollar has stood as the world's most powerful currency. It has been the anchor of international trade, the bedrock of global financial markets, and the ultimate safe haven in times of crisis. But today, cracks are beginning to show. From the rise of the BRICS alliance to the push for gold-backed and commodity-backed currencies, from the rapid growth of central bank digital currencies to the increasing use of sanctions as a geopolitical tool, the dollar faces challenges unlike any it has seen before. So what does this mean for the global economy, for the United States, and for ordinary people around the world? Is the age of dollar dominance ending, or is this another moment where the greenback proves its resilience? Let's break it down. To understand the future of the dollar, we first need to understand its past. After the devastation of World War II, the world needed stability. In 1944, global leaders gathered at Bretton Woods in New Hampshire and established a new financial order. The US dollar, tied to gold at $35 per ounce, became the backbone of the international system. Other currencies pegged themselves to the dollar, which in turn was backed by America's gold reserves. This arrangement gave the United States unprecedented influence. Even after the collapse of the gold standard in 1971, when President Richard Nixon ended the direct convertibility of dollars into gold, the dollar remained supreme. Why? Because of trust, liquidity, and one crucial factor, the petrodollar. Through agreements with Saudi Arabia and other oil-exporting nations, crude oil was priced and sold exclusively in dollars. That meant every country on Earth needed dollars to buy energy, guaranteeing constant demand. This system solidified the dollar's role as the global reserve currency. But every currency system, eventually faces challenges. Today, one of the biggest challengers is the BRICS bloc: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Together, these countries represent more than 40% of the world's population and a significant share of global GDP. And they're growing more assertive. BRICS has expanded its circle, bringing in countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt. Think about what that means. Nations with massive oil and gas reserves, countries sitting at the heart of global trade routes, all showing interest in alternatives to the dollar. The idea of a new BRICS currency, possibly backed by commodities or even by gold, has gained traction. Such a move would directly challenge the dollar, especially in energy markets. Imagine if oil were priced not in dollars, but in a BRICS currency. The implications would be huge. Sanctions have accelerated this trend. Over the past 2 decades, the United States has increasingly used the dollar as a weapon. Blocking countries like Russia, Iran, and Venezuela from the dollar-based financial system shows the strength of American power. But it also has consequences. Nations on the receiving end of these sanctions are actively looking for ways to reduce dependence on the dollar. Russia now demands ruble or yuan payments for much of its energy exports. China has promoted the use of the yuan in cross-border trade. And even longtime U.S. partners like Saudi Arabia are exploring deals denominated in currencies other than the dollar. At the same time, digital money is reshaping finance. Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are moving from theory into reality. China's digital yuan is already being tested in cities and used for cross-border transactions. More than 100 countries are exploring their own versions. These digital currencies could bypass traditional banks and the SWIFT network, which is dominated by the dollar. Imagine a world where African and Asian countries trade with each other directly using digital money, with no need for dollars in between. That world is no longer hypothetical. It is emerging right now. So, is this the end of the dollar? Not immediately. Despite the challenges, the dollar remains dominant. It makes up about 60% of global foreign exchange reserves. Around 90% of international trade touches the dollar at some point. And the U.S. financial system, deep, liquid, and transparent, remains unmatched. Trust matters. In times of crisis, from the Asian financial crisis in the 1990s to the COVID-19 pandemic, investors rushed to the dollar. That shows how deeply entrenched the greenback still is. But the long-term trend is clear. Slow erosion. Over the past 20 years, the dollar's share of global reserves has been declining. Central banks are buying gold at record levels, signaling a desire to hedge against dollar risk. The International Monetary Fund has added the Chinese yuan to its special drawing rights basket, giving it reserve currency status. For many nations, the dollar is both a stabilizer and a source of vulnerability. When the U.S. Federal Reserve raises interest rates, developing economies often face massive outflows of capital, currency depreciation, and debt crises. This breeds frustration and feeds the desire for alternatives. Gold is central to this discussion. For centuries, gold has been the ultimate store of value. The fact that central banks worldwide are hoarding gold again suggests they are preparing for a world where the dollar may not dominate as completely, but challenges remain for the alternatives. A BRICS currency sounds powerful on paper, but in practice, it requires enormous trust and coordination. BRICS nations often have competing interests. China and India are rivals. Russia and Brazil have very different economic structures. Aligning these countries under a single currency system will not be easy. Meanwhile, the United States is not standing still. While China may be ahead with its digital yuan, the U.S. is also exploring a digital dollar. With its powerful financial sector and global technology base, the United States could adapt quickly if it needed to. So what might the future look like? Instead of the dollar collapsing overnight, we may see a fragmented system, a multipolar world of currencies. The dollar would still be important, likely the most important, but it would no longer be unchallenged. The euro, the yuan, and possibly a BRICS or commodity-backed currency could all share the stage. For the United States, this would mean reduced influence. Sanctions would be less effective. Borrowing costs could rise as demand for U.S. debt declines. For ordinary Americans, a weaker dollar could mean higher prices for imports and a lower standard of living. For the rest of the world, a diversified currency system could provide greater independence. Countries might no longer have to rely on Washington's policies to determine their financial stability. But it could also bring instability, as multiple competing systems create uncertainty. Ultimately, the dollar's fate depends on two big factors: the strength and stability of the U.S. itself, and the ability of challengers to build credible alternatives. If America can manage its debt, control inflation, and maintain political stability, the dollar will remain powerful. But if it stumbles, and if BRICS nations and digital systems rise, the shift could be faster than many expect. So is this the end of the U.S. dollar's global dominance? The answer is not black and white. The dollar is not disappearing tomorrow. But the age of absolute, unquestioned supremacy is coming to a close. We are entering a multipolar world, where power is shared, not monopolized. The dollar will remain a cornerstone of global finance, but its throne is no longer secure. The challengers are gathering, and the world is preparing for a future where no single currency holds all the cards. Thank you for watching News Nexus. If you found this analysis valuable, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces shaping our world. Until next time, stay informed, stay aware, and stay ahead.